Hello, everyone. I think the time is up. And I'm today's moderator, Nan. And this session is the certificate data repository in Asia Pacific and African towards sustainable science, education, and development. And during this session, we are planning to have 5 presentations, and we'll have a half-an-hour panel for time, if time permits. In this part, we aim to track critical changes in scientific data repository certification across the Asia-Pacific and African regions, also known as APAR. We seek to establish a collaborative framework for improving repository management standards and fostering a cross-regional assigners. Luckily, in our session is jointly supported by a core science CEO, World Data System, and CoData, and with additional collaboration from early career researchers and around the world. And it's jointly attained by participants from Africa, Asia, and Oceania. And you can see there are 5 presentations. And, so let's begin with our first presentation from Olivier, Rouchon, and Professor Guoqing. Okay. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Olivier Rouchon. I am a research data officer at CNRS in France. CNRS is the largest research performing organization in France with nearly 30,000 researchers and engineers. I have also been in the past the head of the digital preservation department in one of the 3 national data centers in France. But today I'll be speaking with another hat because I'm also chairing the board of the Core Seal, which is a certification body for data repositories. But before I start my presentation, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today at IDW and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. Just wondering in the audience, how much of you are familiar with certification mechanisms for repositories? Raise your hand. 1, 2, right? It's nearly half of the attendees. So it's probably worth reinforcing what we mean by certification of data repositories and the different frameworks that exist. And then we'll move on to the challenging for certification specifically in the Asia and Pacific and Africa regions. So certification is all about trustworthiness and enabling a data repository to create trust, credibility, reliability with their different users being the people who deposit data in the repository or the users who will access and reuse the data, but also to their authorities and funders. And that's really at the core of the open science at the moment. So what does that mean exactly? What's the rationale for certification? It's for a repository to demonstrate that it has a real mission to provide long-term preservation access to digital data. It's also a mean to prove that there is an ongoing supervision, planning, and maintenance of the different systems and assets. And more important of all, that there is an awareness of the different risks bound to the digital nature of the data. Okay? So how do we do that? Well, we will have regular audits, regular assessments of the compliance of the repository with different good practices or requirements. So these criteria are established by experts, and they are generally applicable whatever the context or the disciplinary context, right? The culture seal and even the other certification mechanisms are based on a self-assessment, which will then be evaluated by peers to verify the processes, the organization, and make sure that they are compatible or compliant with the different requirements. So in Europe and worldwide, we have a 3 layers framework for certification. Culture seal being the lightweight core framework. Then above the culture seal, you would have Nestor and ultimately the ISO certification. And the more we go, the more complex the certification is, because we've got more requirements. And of course, if it's more complex, there are less repositories certified. At the moment, we have something like 250 certified repositories within the culture seal. So culture seal is a non-for-profit body in the Netherlands. It's been created in 2017 as part of the work done in an RDA work group, which was called the DSA/WDS certification work group. If you get certified, it will last 3 years. It's based on public evidences, and the requirements are revised every 3 years. And we are in the middle of the revision process at the moment. And if you come on Thursday afternoon, we will have another session on culture seal where we will explain the changes proposed this year for the new version of the requirements. So as I said, certification is based on a self-assessment that is submitted, and experts will be assigned to review that assessment. And there could be some back and forth between the applicant and the reviewers to do some amendments until the level of quality is acceptable, and the board will grant the certification. As I said, it's a lightweight process. We have 16 different requirements split in 3 different sections: organizational, digital object management, and technology and security. The culture seal was created in 2017. I mean, you can see the regular growth of the number of certified repositories. It has a growing importance, and particularly in Europe, because a lot of open science plans at national level or at European level explicitly refer to the culture seal as a quality framework. So that's basically what the culture seal is. So where are we in the Africa and Asia Pacific region? So as you can see, we've got many repositories certified. We've got 5 with active certification in South Africa, and up to 17, 15, 18 active certifications in Asia and Oceania. So that's quite good. I mean, compared to Northern America, for example, there's still room for improvement. You can see here a few examples of certified repositories. So how could we increase the number of certified repositories in Asia, in Australia, in Africa? What are the different challenges that we face? Are there any issues or challenges that we face to increase that number? Well, that's what Guoqing is going to talk to you right now. Guoqing? floor is yours.
Yeah, just as the follow-on Oliver's introduction, I will try to address some challenges in this region, the African, Asian, and the Pacific. In this area, there is a lot of the challenger. For example, in this area, the amount number of certificated repository is not too much compared with the potential science and technology ability. The first reason is because it's a lack of awareness and the value is embodiment. Because for not only for the repository itself, but also for their ecosystem, their founders, the users, for the repository, they know what benefit can be dreamed from the certificate work. However, it's their founder and also their other partners. They know this about it. It means that it is the value added cannot be directly getting from this work. So it brings some sustainabilities support is from this work. The first is the content number. Is in this area, we know that in Asia and Africa, most of them is a developing country. However, it's the amount of the economic and also the population is increase is very fast. And also the research and development is investment. It also increase is very fast. There is, in this area, there is thousands of universities, institute, and well-trained the scientists. So there are a lot of the data centers and data repository. For example, in China, the national level, the scientific data center, up now there is 20. Just now, Oliver shows some of the certificated repository. They are also from the 20 national scientific data center. Besides them, there for the ministry level and the province level, there are another hundreds of the very high quality is domain-based repositories. And now is in China, there's only 3 centers have been approved. And another 3 is paired. So compared with that, so each example is there is a lot of the potential, and the language and also the well-trained the talent, the problem. In this area, I remember this morning, the morning session, the expert from Africa said that there is a thousands of the language in Africa area. And in China, especially in Southeast China, there also is many of the different language. So it's English is not a working language in most of the country here, and we know that it's to apply for the certification of international standard, for example, Class U. They need to submit a lot of the required document and to reorganize some of the materials and even the contents of the data and also the website and some is reference the document is all have been presented in their own language. So it brings some problems for the reviewers and for themselves to organize, to read, to understand that this is not the question cannot be resolved. However, it is barriers. It is barriers for them to take the work. And also, as for example, for TrustU, there is sustainable the certificate. It's for 3 years is a term. The average term is 3 years. And it is a very good idea. However, it's for the specifies the repository, especially in this area, and according to their cultures, and the human resource. To do this work, it's mainly rely on the certain person who know well about this work. If these people just turn over the position, or they cannot find suitable people to continually to do this work, maybe they will meet problems and to make the renew. It is why in China and in other areas, there's so many repositories, they lost to make a renewal of that. And the last we need to say the reason is about the policy, the policy problem. It is the data age, and some of this in these ranges, many countries also think that is the data as the strategy resource. And they will place a lot of the strict control on the data, the cross borders, the use. And for the principle of TrustU is try to push the open access as an open sense, and it will bring some is a misunderstanding is how the person herself is to always the open sense, and also some is the national is a policy. So it will bring some of the problem to fit which kind of the certificate system, international or national. They're not always the same. So I want to stop here. It just address this challenge, and in the discussion in the discussions that stage, I'd like to continually to bring some of our thought and suggestion as how to resolve this problem and push the work in this region. Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Oliver, and thank you, Professor Li, for your presentation. Are there any questions here? Okay. Wait. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the presentation. This is Esther Kambule from South Africa. We are appreciating the fact that there's a need for certification, and we talk about the challenges that Africa is also experiencing. But my question in terms of perhaps maybe in particular for Africa, what is it that we are going to do to ensure that perhaps we can assist some countries that really are striving for certification, but they've got challenges with regard to the resources, take into consideration that some of the standards are actually, not some, these standards, certification bodies are very expensive to certify the organization in terms of the QMS and all the processes that are required. So what is it that can be done to really assist some of those countries that really want to do the certification and also take into consideration the fact that there's also continuity. You've got to recertify every 3 years and so forth, but it's already very expensive. So what can be done in terms of the collaboration and the need for the data users as well as the data producers to work together to ensure that there is the certification? I was also taking interest in this one that says the self-built certification systems. For example, in China and South Africa, but without cooperation of this mutual recognition of satisfying technical standards. So I was taking just interest on that. But my main question is, what is it that can be done to assist? Thank you.
Yeah, so basically, you're right. There is an administrative fee for the culture seal certification, which is 3,000 euros for 3 years, which makes it basically 1,000 euros a year, right? But I understand that this can be a significant amount of money for some countries in development and things like that. So there's a possibility to have bulk funding, for example, at the country level, having an entity or a body funding the application of multiple repositories. We've seen that in South Africa, for example. We've seen that in other countries. But we can also discuss directly with the board and the secretariat to see if kind of discount is possible.
Okay, I want to give additional answers. Yes, it's the financial. The financial is a very important factor for the certificate work, and I think it's a from cultural seal levels. Thanks to Oliver have said that the cultural seal is also considered some as a policy to reduce that. To reduce the financial cost, and it's my suggestion is well following on. It's also considered this question. I think it's besides the cultural seal, the certification, and some national level certification, they can adopt the criteria and the quality requirement is from cultural seal. However, they will make some changes and adopt inside the country, is within the country, and they will use some is much as flexible is a financial is a policy, and maybe much lower, and however they will give the some level standard, the middle level of the quality standards, and to push to give the certification in the national level. However, it's a different with the cultural seal, and this will give some national levels is resolved is a mechanism, and it will balance with the quality certification, and also the financial is the cost. Okay.
Yes, one more question, because our time is really tight. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that tomorrow there's that other session, and I'm one of the presenters, and I'm going to be presenting on the experience from South Africa, how 4 universities in the Western Cape region of South Africa came together, and we worked as a team almost for about 2 or 3 years, and we finally got the certification. But maybe the experience would also assist others in terms of how we worked as a community of practice to assist each other in overcoming most of the challenges, the language, the processes, and many other issues. But maybe without so much preempting what I will then talk about tomorrow. I'm not sure what Daisy and Lazarus are going to talk about, maybe also the same issues later on. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. And you want to ask?
Hi, I'm Dave Connell from the Australian Antarctic Data Centre, Core Seal certified repository. So I was just curious about your recommendations around the language barriers. So I've been involved with Core Seal for a long time, and I've had reviewed a number of other repositories and their applications. And you're right, it is hats off to anybody who has to write an application in English and they don't speak English, because I couldn't do it the other way around. I'm just wondering what sort of ideas you've got to try and make it easier for those repositories when it comes to writing those applications, because when you're reviewing them, sometimes they're really hard to review, trying to figure out what they're trying to say. So I'm wondering if you've got any ideas as to how you're going to help them to write better applications.
Yeah, I fully appreciate that the language barrier can be a challenge, particularly in Asia, not in Australia or in South Africa, but say, for example, in France, what we did is we translated the criteria, the requirements, into French. Yeah. So that could be an option. Translate the 16 requirements in Chinese or in Japanese, or that will help.
Yeah. And then for the reviewers, they would write in their native language, and then somebody translates it back for whatever language the reviewer speaks, do you think? Or?
Well, generally the application is in English.
Yep.
If you've got some evidences in the local language, you just need to provide a summary in English, and then Google will do the rest. And we'll do some
I have used
translation.
Google Translate a lot sometimes. It's been good. Thanks.
Thank you for your questions. Okay, I think this session will be closed. And for next presentation, we will ask for Dr. Bapon Fakhruddin, who is online. And is it online? Okay, so maybe we'll go on our sir from Daisy and from South Africa. Okay. No, Bapon's still not online. Okay. Fine. Okay, floor is yours.
Good afternoon, colleagues. So what we are going to share with you is a case study regarding our repository. We are looking at the postgraduate students, and especially the master's and the PhD students, because we are a very high-intensive research university, and most of our students have to also reproduce and ensure that data supporting the publication is also curated somehow, and that's what we want to share with you. So we are... Is it not? Okay. We are responsible we are librarians, and then we come from a space where, from a research-intensive university, we need to curate, and we're the ones who are the custodians for open science and open data policies within the university, and also dealing with the provost office in the implementation thereof. And when it comes to repositories, the ambit of that also resides within the university libraries, and that's the practice across with the libraries, how we deal with data repositories and repositories in general. And I want to highlight for us what we want to share with you. The main objective is around why are we doing this for our M&D students. We're not just negating the entry ones, but these are the core ones because we're a research-intensive university. So our purpose with this study is to ensure that we want to strengthen the quality of the thesis and dissertations that we get for our students, because we have then what we call wired space, where we use this space for these ETDs. And what we are talking about here, it's encompassing up to when Lazarus will speak on what we use the platform, the tool on Figshare for data management. We also want to ensure that for our students, we promote open data processes or practices, and also for postgrad research, using the FAIR and CARE principle, and I won't go into detail with that. But what were our expected outcome with this case study where we are looking at the doctoral academy? We want to ensure that our data is curated and preserved, and also increased reuse of the data and collaboration across, because most of our students also end up being postdocs, and we want to ensure that the data supporting the publication can be reused, repurposed, and also for innovation, especially if it has to go to the dark archive. Also improve research quality and reproducibility, and protection of indigenous data through strict ethical guidelines. And there's been a lot of discussion. So we embarked on as you all know, you can't talk about data management or research data management without the fair and care principles. And the methodology that we used a unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, ATUT. So what does this theory encompass? Performance expectations, social influence, facilitating confidence. I don't know why I can't see my eyes here. And internet skills. And we did a data collection. We used two methods, interviews and questionnaires. And out of the participants that we have, we selected 100 participants because it's a cohort of the doctoral academy students that we have for 2025. It's a cohort of 100 students that we are working on from the 6 faculties that we are dealing with. And the key findings from this 4 theory, from ATUT theory, we have 4 out of the 4 findings from the ATUT theory. As you can see, that we are looking at the conditions that are actually facilitating for these students to be able to adhere to what we are dealing with when we talk about research data management and the performance expectations. This links to the social milieu out of which our students find themselves in, because our students are coming from different entries. We have students who are outside of South Africa, in other African countries, and globally, as we are a research-intense university. But then we also have students who are national students who only learn and understand about these things, or libraries, as they only enter a higher education system. Also including internet skills. Not most of all of our students are very internet savvy, and they also have to facilitate that process. And also this links also to them understanding the process around research data management and the whole cycle thereof. And the social influence. And out of the findings of this theory that we used, we discovered that social influence and the conditions facilitating how they perform are very correlated over and above the other 2 aspects. And the findings, other findings that we found was the findings around the institutional needs that needs to happen for this research data management to be effectively implemented. And this links to the research data management policy that we need to align and review. You must remember that most of us in the libraries, we started with the data management and especially open access when we started signing the Berlin Declaration many years ago. And when our National Research Foundation Agency in 2015, when myself and Lazarus were instrumental in the writing of the policy, which is not a statement, okay, around data supporting the publication, and that's when, because we were from the funding agency side, informing the university what to do. And that's how we managed to ensure that universities have, our 26 universities, are implementing and adopting open data and open access. And the other aspects that we picked up as part of the findings on what our institution needs to be doing is to ensure that the research data management roadmap is fast-tracked, and also there are elements that are part of the research life cycle, but not at the end. We don't have to focus with them when they do their master's or their PhD. We need to focus with them at the undergrad level. And the other aspect was the digital tools. What digital tools do we have in place for the students? And the expansion of research commons hubs, the platform, the spaces that they require in order to be effective. Lazarus, can you come quickly?
Yeah, thank you. From this, what we have done, we realized as a library we were not going to be successful. So we have key stakeholders, as you have heard, the students. So out of the 100 students, we have a cohort of 16,000 postgraduate students in the university. But the ones that are participating are voluntary, and they are working with their supervisors. So they have an MOU with this project. And also the faculty, from those faculties, we have had long discussions with faculties to implement this project, and also the librarians that are faculty librarians that have been also trained on RDM aspects. And so the required skills and tools is that these students have gone through some training on data literacy, data storage, which is always a big problem, as some of the students in the past would have lost their data sets, the conceptualization of skills, data curation, and open science, and the implementation tools, the training programs that are in place. And these are tools that are on a dashboard where the supervisor and the student are expected to read some manuals that are posted. And so it's a self-guided training, and which can be also be followed up or tracked to see if the student did go through the modules that are provided by the library, the ethical committees in the faculties, and any other supporting material that can be given to the students. So this will then guide them to the policy guidelines. As you can see here is the normal cycle of the research cycle, which these modules are. So what is then required is the continuous RDM skills development as the students go through this work program over 2 years. And then we expect by the 2 years, their proposals are in place. And also if they are fast enough, their thesis is also provided, or they graduate, and focus on the open data sharing principles, develop culture of responsible data stewardship, maximize utilization of research outputs for the university. In our context, every thesis that is produced in the university is a return of value to the university. The government pays that thesis as a subsidy to the university. So that's why we are embarking on ensuring that we have a pipeline for these students to speedily graduate. And as we mentioned, the enhancement of library skills, and where the library provide the scholarly communication unit plays a part, expertise in information management for dissemination, which when we talk of dissemination, we are talking of enhancing the visibility and impact, metadata enhancement, central to the advancing of postgraduate research cycle, if they are to publish any papers from their thesis, and also formulate and implement the RDM process altogether. And obviously, as mentioned, the policy mandate, the ETDs must produce papers where possible, formalize mandate by the university policy to make this a requirement across all faculties, ensure reliability and validity of data sets, as the ethics committee also has to play part, and also the faculty, any data, what can I say, approvals in the faculty level. The library, we can't do that, so it's the faculty's role, and guarantee integrity of all the research outputs emanating from the student work. So as we mentioned, we are on a planning phase, which is to align the policies. We are currently reviewing the RDM policy, as you know, with all the stakeholders to develop a robust RDM roadmap, and then align with the international best practices that we also learn from other colleagues. And phase 2, we are implementing the infrastructure, as you will see at the end, and already training is impacted to the students, and some who have adopted the 100 students that are on the cohorts. And obviously, we'll then look at the key conclusions to ensure that we roll this project accordingly, and etc. So the impact vision is to implement this recommendation, which will ensure reliability and validity of outputs, as I mentioned, to strengthen the research cycle, and also to bring money into the university, as our students won't spend too much time doing their research. And so as part of this project, we are launching our first open data repository in the university on the 29th of this month during the Open Access Week. And as you can see, we have called it the WITS Data Vault, as I think for you, most of you colleagues who know South Africa, we are sitting on top of the mines. So this gold and data is gold. we decided to call it the Vault, and you can see the gold there, which is the outputs, the thesis, the research papers that will come from this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy, and Lazarus for a nice speaking. And there are any questions? Okay.
Not questions, but maybe just a contribution from CPUT. What we did, and maybe I can also confirm that the certification that we got from Core Trust Seal, the majority of the data sets are actually masters and doctoral students, whatever. So what we did, we literally forced our way to the higher degrees committee, and we fought almost a hard battle. They thought we were smoking some things when we suggested that before graduation, all our masters and doctoral students' data sets must be deposited with the library. So we have got a policy, a standing policy, that no student at CPUT will graduate with a master's or a doctoral degree without depositing their data sets with the library. So we demand the two outputs, the dissertation or thesis, as well as the data set, before you can walk the podium. Thank you.
Thank you. And there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just to add, Professor Juanle, what we have done so far, just to demonstrate the cleaning of data, we did use some tools, subscribe tools, dimensions and altmetrics, and we harvested more than 57,000 data sets which are emanating from our researchers, just to demonstrate that this is doable. And these are data sets that were sitting elsewhere, which are open. So far, 10,000 data sets have been cleaned in the testing system, which will be launched next week. We have also tested a few data sets from previous students, which is also right now will be in the repository, just to demonstrate to the students that this is doable.
Okay, thank you. I think this.
Thank you very much. Mine is just a comment and to congratulate the team for such a great work, and I'm sure it will be great for some replication in other institutions. I want to believe this is great. I mean, coming from South Africa and knowing what is happening in some of our institutions. So I want to congratulate you. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Any response?
Thank you. I'm Anthony Cooper from South Africa. So a question to the audience member from UCT as well as to our two up there is it's not only masters and PhD students who generate data sets. What about honors students? Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not UCT, it's CPUT. Yeah, Cape Peninsula University of Technology. Okay, yeah. So we don't even take honor students' projects into the repository. So we don't even consider their data sets. Okay.
Yeah, it's a policy decision from most of our academic institutions that we do only focus for master's and PhD level, looking at the issue around whether there would be a patent and further research, and with the pipeline that's in there compared to the ones that are at honors level. Yes. And I think we would just want to quickly touch on certification part. We had a workshop in December in Cape Town, now in September, sorry, in Cape Town, where we discussed as the data repository practitioners who are on one platform on how we're going to proceed with certification. And what was mentioned around Scion and also Data First, most of us who are here have been involved in those processes for the past years, and especially through co-data activities. Yeah. So data, we are aware about data certification, what needs to happen for us, and we are now working with Uganda, 27 universities in Uganda, and also in Tanzania through the Belgium government-funded project, where we're also working on research data management, and part of that, we're also instilling the issues around certification, but also it alludes to all the other challenges that were raised before, that when you move to other regions, challenges differ, and also with what's government involvement in support with regards to research funding and so forth. Yes.
Okay. Yes, maybe we can save it for the discussion part. Thank you. Yes. For the next presentation is Su Ni Go from Singapore. Okay. And the floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. So I'll go straight into my presentation. My colleague Yu Yun is not able to make it today in person, so I'll be presenting on her behalf. So we'd like to share with you our journey in getting the Core Trust Seal certification. And the title here says Trust Matters because it is the main driver behind what we wanted to achieve from this journey. Some background of the university. So we're quite young, but we are doing pretty well in terms of achieving the standing in terms of university rankings. So, and also we are a research-intensive university, so there's a lot of focus on translation as well. So if we were to walk down the memory lane of why did we want to get the certification, it started with the university launching the research data policy in 2016. So that was the time when we were also looking at topics like research integrity. And it was very timely because at the same time, the local National Medical Research Council was asking for data sharing. And in the policy, it is advocating for research data to be as open as possible and as closed as necessary. So in the policy, it is requiring data management plan to be submitted for research projects in the university system. So we have a university DMP template. And in the template, one of the questions is asking, where will you be making your non-sensitive research data available after the project? In the policy, it asks for compulsory DMP submission. At the same time, it is asking for data sharing for non-sensitive data. So the year after the launch of the policy, we made the data repository available. So the university library, together with the university IT department, we looked at the use of the open source software, Dataverse, which is an open source software that is managed, provided, and maintained by the Harvard University. So with the support of the Central University, we set up the DRNTU data. So this is a screenshot of our university open access data repository. So we have about more than 2,000 published data sets with close to 70,000 files stored in there. So on the journey, well, we got the certification about 3 years ago. That was in 2022, early 2022. So with the launch of the data repository, we were going around to different schools talking to them about sharing their data, and there was an emerging trend of the journals asking for a data availability statement. So as we went around talking to faculty members, they were curious about, why, why do the open data sharing, and why are journals asking for it? So we had to bring them back to the data repository to look at how we can better support all these gaps. So we looked at what were our faculty sharing and what were they, what kind of challenges they might face. So we had to look at the best practices. So that made us sit up to say that by providing an infrastructure alone is not enough. We have to put in place the softer aspects of the ecosystem. So it's not just the IT, but also the guidelines, the standards, the international community, what they are doing, and how they are developing the best practices. So that led us to look at how we can grow this ecosystem better, and how do we identify the gaps. You have to identify the gaps using benchmarks, right? So that was how we decided to move on to look at core trust seal. So when we were going around engaging researchers, so they have not yet started open data sharing, but they could be having the data somewhere. So the questions that they ask is, if I share my data, will it be secured? Will it be stolen? Will it be lost? And we had to then take the opportunity to share with them the concept of persistent identifiers, the concept of DOI, the concept of data availability statement. So they also ask, if I share my data, will it be kept as useful and meaningful object in the future? So we tell them, if you put in rubbish, you share rubbish, people are just going to use the rubbish. So how are you going to make it meaningful, easy for people to interpret, to have a meaningful experience with your data set? So we had to look at what is out there. So we started talking to Digital Curation Center. We started talking to Harvard Dataverse. We flew people in. We had workshops. We had bring your data, bring your own data, BYOD workshops. Yeah. So, it was quite fun to do all these engagement activities. At the institutional level, we are also looking at the research data outputs as the university assets. We want to preserve them. We want longevity in them. But it doesn't mean that we just take whatever it is. We have to instill the culture, the habit of adopting the best practices. So does it preserve the investment in collecting them? Okay, it's not about the more I have in the data repository, the better it is. It's not about volume. It's not about numbers. It is about the quality. And we were also looking at the best practices for the journal publishers. This is a more recent screen capture. I believe some of you might have come across the Transparency and Openness Promotion, in short, TOP guidelines. I believe this is a more recent iteration, but if you look at the last column, it is asking for data has to be posted to a trusted repository, okay? So in this Transparency and Openness Promotion guidelines, the journal publishers are recommended to look at how they can support open science. And there are three different levels, in fact, three different levels, as well as in front, you see that there is a not yet implemented, right? So there are different types of open science outputs that you can encourage authors to consider making available. So the first line is on data transparency. The second line is on analytic methods or the code, where you're making your code available. The third one is research materials transparency. So they all point to whether it is available on a trusted repository. So when we speak to faculty, I recall there was one session I was there as well. Yeah. So the faculty put up his hand in a meeting, in a room like this. Is DRNTU data a trusted repository? So I had to bring back the question because we hadn't gotten the CTS, the Core Trust Seal certificate yet. So I had to bring back the question and then just check the internet. What is meant by trusted repository? So there were quite a few things to look at. So we were looking at tools like the Confederation of Open Access Repositories, in short, CORE. Some of you might have heard about CORE. So they have several frameworks and communities of practice, so we were following them. We were engaged in those discussions. Of course, the TOP guidelines for journal publishers. We were looking at FAIR principles. So we want to try to translate and apply these tools and best practices in the way we provide the service, training, and advocacy for doing your open data sharing on the university repository. Having said that, this reminds me that I have to say something about the university data policy that recognizes not just the university open access data repository, but also any other open access data repository. Okay, so you could be sharing your data on a gene bank or a subject-specific data repository. That's absolutely fine. All right, so you could be sharing your codes on a GitHub. You let people develop iterations, derivatives of those codes. At the same time, you may want to keep a static capture of the data set in the university repository that provides a link to the journal paper. So there are many ways of doing it. So a lot depends on your use case. Okay, so on the certification, it helps us a lot when we got it. Yeah, so no one asks us now, is yours a trusted one? And so it's more about, okay, I have this in this GitHub, I have this data set in your repository. It's more of that kind of, how do I facilitate the connection now? So it helps a lot when we talk about reliability and durability of the data repository. It also helps us to get the university to be committed towards supporting this repository. Because if you take a closer look at the Core Trust Seal requirements, one of them is about the sustainability of the repository. So there were quite a few. You saw from Olivier's slides that there are quite a few certifications. So this is the same. We decided to go for Core Trust Seal because we were looking at the numbers behind the community, okay, in the community. So Core Trust Seal has a big community, and we like that, okay? But we believe working together with the community. And the requirements is a lot, but it helped us to really augment the whole workflow, governance, standards, etc. All right. So compliance level 0 is not applicable. So as we go about filling up the form, we had to say where we are, whether it's 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So when we fill up the form, sometimes we say that it's 3, sometimes we think it's 4, and then the reviewers will come back to say that, I don't think you're 3, I think you're 4. Or if we write 4, then they sometimes say that, I don't think you're 4, you're 3. So we had that back and forth with the reviewers. All right, so, and then we had to talk about the gaps, okay? If we think that we are 3, but actually we are 2, what do we have to make sure that it's a 3, for example? So we had to do a lot of self-assessment. We had to come up with new documentations, and then we had to get a lot of buy-in by talking to the IT colleagues, etc. And of course, we have to pay the 3,000 euros, right? On the timeline, it took us about 6 months to do all these things. Yeah, the review process, which is what I just mentioned about going back and forth with the reviewers, and then having to find time to work on the documentation, to put up the pages, make sure it's front-facing, and then to make sure that the internal process is aligned with what we have out there. And then that itself is another 12 months, okay? So you do your math, 6 plus 12. All right, so the gaps are in blue, and then we try our best to bridge the gaps, all right? So we are at the renewal stage. In the Olivier's slide earlier, you see that there's Singapore, but the certification has just expired this year because we are working hard on the renewal for another 3 years. So yeah, we had to work even harder for the weaker areas. So we had to look at things like succession plan, whether we have this additional, like if it's closed down, where is your additional version, So we had to look at consortium as well, agreement with other archive in provision of data assets. So these are the things that come out from the Core Seal process. Okay. And then the preservation plan is something that we have to work on for the renewal. So 3 years ago, we said that we have a preservation plan. It looks like this. Okay? So now for renewal, we were asked, can you make it publicly available? Yeah, so we have to work on things like that for the renewal. So, yep, we got the certification in 2022, and then we are working on the renewal now. So these are the benefits that we got. It helps a lot with the reputation. It displays the university's commitment to data and service quality. It heightens stakeholder confidence in us. Definitely, it increases the visibility and international recognition. And the biggest takeaway is really how it has helped to improve the workflow, technical solutions, and processes for long-term preservation. Okay, and of course, awareness and compliance with established standards. So lessons learned is don't do it alone, not one person, not two persons, but you really need a team, all right? So this is not one person's work. Benchmark against similar repositories. So because we are built on Dataverse, so we looked at other Dataverses to see, for those that have the Core Seal certificate, what they are doing, what kind of documentation they put out there. We asked for experts' advice as well. For example, for the preservation plan, we got onto an online meeting with British Library just to understand how those principles can be applied onto a university open access data repository. Keep an open mind and enjoy the learning process. Okay, so what's next? We formed a community of practice with like-minded repositories in 2024. So the aim is to foster collaboration, to share knowledge, to build capacity together. So it's more fun when you learn together with other universities. And then we are focusing on Southeast Asian region, okay? And the focus is on repository certification, example, Core Seal certification, and best practices revolving around the repository certification. So there are currently 7 repositories who have been participating in the activities, mostly online activities, so mostly from Thailand. All right, so we welcome everybody in this room to join as a guest, observer, or member. So the topics discussed so far within the community of practice includes sustainable data services, integration between the repository and the institution's research system, persistent identifiers, fair data sets, outreach, and stakeholders' engagement. So that's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Suni. Are there any questions? Because our time is tight, we only open 2 questions. Okay.
Thank you, Sunny. So my name is Xinxin. I'm from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So we met yesterday. So my question is, you mentioned that you actually encourage users to deposit the data in external data repositories. And I just wonder if there's any linkage between those open, like external data repositories and your own institutional repository in terms of the data that deposited there.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Xinxin. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the question. Yes, we encourage that all the time. And we, if we see that there is a related data set, we give the author a nudge, a prompt, email. I see that you have a related data set because I see a link, for example, to the GitHub or to the RNA sequence. You mentioned it in your journal paper. So would you like to include the links that I see in your journal paper? It could be code availability statement, data availability statement, supplementary material, etc., whatever you call it. So we invite you to put it in this metadata field. So in the DRNQ data, there is a designated metadata field that is called related data set, related data, something like that. Yeah. So so we collect examples like this, and then we share it with others who we are also reaching out. We give them ideas, suggestions. It could look like this. Would you like to do that for your own metadata record? Yeah. So we encourage that. While we see that, for example, in a journal paper, the data availability statement goes through external repository, that's fine. You know, we don't say that, why are you doing it? Why are you depositing or sharing it elsewhere? Because you know, it's absolutely fine. The policy says that as long as you share it, it has a DOI, that's fine. Yeah. Huh? Okay. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And for the last questions of this, sure.
Sure, it's not really a question, but as Dave Connell, Australian Antarctic Data Centre, if it's any consolation, recertification is a lot faster and easier. And so I found it to be a lot less work, and the review process was generally quicker because you kind of knew what you were doing and stuff, so their comments weren't so bad.
Okay, yeah,
so
thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, in fact, I can't share it on the screen now. I don't know whether I can open up the internet here, yeah. But
sure.
Yeah, on our repository, you can see at the bottom, we have one more logo. There is the core self-assessment badge. Okay. So yeah, if you Google us, DRNTU data at the bottom, you see that we not only have CTS logo, we have the core framework self-assessment logo as well. Yeah. So that's not certification, but self-assessment. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, let's welcome our last presentation from Juanle Wang from China.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, last speaker also mentioned the CTS repositories in Southeast Asia, in Thailand. Yeah, I also did this work. Yeah, homework. I mean, because Professor Guoqing gave me this title, I try to investigate how many, you know, trusted sealed repository in Asia Pacific area. Yeah, this is listed in the active repositories in the CTS website. Yeah, we can see there are totally about 162 repositories there. The orange color, yeah, the yellow color is in the Asia and the Pacific areas. We can see Australia and Thailand have 7 repositories active. I mean inactive. Yeah, yeah. This number in APA regions, I mean, just 12% of the CTS in the world. So it's not so, I mean, so high. Actually, it's very low, yeah. But I want to say we have more repositories, but it's expired. The data is expired every 3 years. It should be renewed, yeah. This is a challenge, maybe, okay. I list them one by one from Australia. We can see how about that disciplinary distribution in this field, I find most of the repository in Australia is for earth science. For example, here is the Marine Science Institute organized by Australia Institute of Marine Science. Yeah, this is very important. We know the coral reef conservation. We know so many biodiversity and so many geoscience study in this area. And this is a terrestrial ecosystem network, research network in Australia. I subject it to life science, because it's learn about maybe the soil, maybe the land, the vegetation, okay, in this field. And number 3 is for Antarctic data center. Yeah, this is also for earth science. It's very important to reflect the global change in the world. This is the geochemistry data center in Australia. This is very important. They have the data for earth science, for geology. This is the CSIRO data access portal. This is multidisciplinary science. It covers so many fields like astronomy, disease preparedness, and environmental sciences. Yeah, so many. And this is Geoscience Australia. It's also about geology. This is the Ocean Data Network. They already have some data centers in marine. Yeah. Okay, for China we have many repositories, but some of them already, expired, should be renewed. But now in active, I can find 3 here. The first one is Population and Health Data Archive. It's one of the national data centers in China. Yeah, it belongs to life science. Another one is also Gene Bank database of China, CNGB. Yeah, it's this data center in China is a whole institute hosts this. Yeah, it's development very quickly. Yeah. This is National High Energy Physical Sciences Data Center. It's for physical science. It's a kind of a basic research. Yeah. And for Japan, inactive, only one is for social science. Japan Data Archive. So social science is also important. We learned the presentation this morning in the plenary session, so important about the social science. In Korea, there are 2 inactive. One is GeoBig Data Open Platform, is for geological resources. Yeah. Second one is DataOn. DataOn is a multidisciplinary science repository. Yeah, so many disciplinary here. You see, it includes architecture, machinery, agriculture, forestry, aquatic products, physical medicine, so many. And for Thailand, there are 7 here. The one, many of them is multidisciplinary science. Yeah. The first one is a repository of Digital Research Information Center. We can see there are some education, agriculture, engineering, public health, and social sciences resources. Here is the Songkhla University Knowledge Bank. Yeah, it's also a multidisciplinary science repository. This is NIDA Wisdom Repository. It's in library science. So many, digital records, for multidisciplinary. And here is the Thailand Agriculture Research Repository. It's focused on agriculture. It also belongs to the life science. And the Chulalongkorn University Intellectual repository. Yeah, he is also a multidisciplinary science repository. And number 6 is Kastsata University Knowledge Repository. Yeah, so many theses, dissertations recorded here. And also legislative institutional repository of Thailand. So many resources about law and social science. Okay, totally we can see, so in multidisciplinary science, at the most 7, and earth science maybe also the most 1, distributed in Australia, South Korea, and Thailand. And earth science, 6, yeah, Australia and South Korea. And life science, we have 4 inactive in China and Australia and Thailand. And social science in Japan and Thailand. And physical science in China. So from this review, we can see some subjects benefit from CTS. They can support their technical infrastructure, their user engagement and impact metrics, and the international collaboration and interoperability, yeah, among the repository in the world. Yeah, I think this is this. We can see there are good examples in different repository. I just select some case. Yeah, for example, for the gene bank, for the CSIRO, for the AADC. Yeah, we also for the social science data center in Japan. We can see there are good stories. Yeah, from this website. And also we can see there are some areas are limited in this region. For example, the applied engineering and the information technology, not so many. And the humanity and social science, and also, I mean, we need more. Yeah, these repositories in this area. And from the map in this region, the active repository, we can see most of them is along the coastal area, maybe the rich region. Yeah, inland area we have not so many data centers. That's interesting, and that means we must enhance the capacity building, maybe for more fields and more geography areas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lastly is this survey, the limitations and recommendations. Yeah. Firstly, I want to say this survey do not cover those already got the certification in past years. Yeah, there are. I mean, they will be a big number. Yeah, and more balanced distribution in geography should be considered in the near future. Yeah, for example, in some inland areas. They have not disciplinary priority or best practice guidance. Yeah, in this region, these repository maybe haven't, much more exchange each other. Yeah, they just developed independently. Yeah, it's needed more exchanges in the same disciplinary. For example, so many life science, geoscience, and even the multidisciplinary repository. They can maybe some workshop, maybe some exchange work together. And also we have the World Data System centers in this region. So World Data System science, data centers, these centers must follow the CTS repository, standard. Yeah, but the WDS data centers and the CTS repository do not, coupled very well. So when we organize some WDS-AO conference, maybe more CTS repositories can be invited to join us in the future. Okay, that's my presentation. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Professor Wang. You saved us 10 minutes for the discussion. And are there any questions for this presentation? Okay. And I think I just made one question for the previous presentation. Are there any questions? Okay. I'll see. Sure. Actually, we have prepared some potential discussion agendas to see. And the first one is pilot alliance. Push the regional pilot alliances with different regions. Prioritize national data center for CTS certifications to build replaceable demos. So can we just use this to arouse the discussion? Is there any presentations want to share their thoughts about these three ideas or potential ideas? Okay. So we would like to invite all our speakers to come to the front and to have a more in-depth talk about all these questions and topics. Okay, please.
Because we have a very limited time for the panel discussion, so I'd like to invite all speakers as a panelist and move on to the seat front seat. Okay, and these three is the question. These three question is some recommended question. However, is because we only have 10 minutes. It's before close of the session. I'd like to give one more chance to each one and to address your comments to some to these questions or the other comments says them. Okay. The first question, the first this topic is it possible for this region we can work together and also work with Culture and we can try to select and also it's very good centers in this area with different languages and different countries, different dictionary, and help them to understand, make awareness of Culture and make understand its workflow and how to develop a very good the application document. And with that, and finally, we hope most of them can get approval of the Culture the certification, and then they can be the best practice, and we can then to develop the guidelines for the countries. For the countries, the first and the second one is try to discuss about is how the cooperation between the national level certification mechanism and also the Culture how they can work together and they can benefit is both is much more data repository inside the country and also the world levels is the certification. And also you can also address, if you like, it's your understanding of the benefit for the certification, for the certification for each of the repositories in their work and for their ecosystem. Okay, I'd like to invite the ladies in the first.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for the very important question. Join the Yuyun's community of practice. Yuyun is my colleague, so she started this community of practice, starting with the Thailand universities. So if you're interested, join the community. Like what I presented, is always good to work together with others and don't just work by yourself, so that you can go through the pain together, but you grow together and you achieve something together. So, and you make new friends. So strongly encourage you to form your own community of practice or to join Yuyun's community of practice. Thanks.
I'd like to give the comments. I think the CP, the community of practice, it's led by the university. It's a very good work and very good demos for the regional cooperation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think regional communities of practice do exist, but sometimes, we tend to then go solo where possible because of circumstances. If I look at the Cape Town University Consortium, they decided to do it as Cape Town Universities from Professor Shuare's project, which is good. But the challenge, I think, is also when we look at the issue of, payment to some of these services, because I'm looking at this trust seal. So the colleagues have lent. So after paying the 3,000 for 3 years, now you know. What next? Do you still need to pay another 3,000? Yes. 2 years later. 3 years later. So those are some of, 3 years later, because now you know how to drive. When do you need really to renew the license for 3,000 again? So I think these are the things that we need to look for open science, because we can't continue to pay. So the community of practice that we create must be self-sustainable. And that's the way I look at open science. If we are practicing pure open science, not hybrid models.
Okay. I'm excited with Lazarus because when we get back home to the office, it will be different. Okay. So when I look at from the bottom part with the certification part, I think we need to start first to the World Data System. When it was the World Data Center, and it moved to the World Data System because that was the niche area around, and from the 1960s, on certification of repositories. And we know that it was more on natural sciences, especially astrology and so forth. And with the issues that we are faced with in the millennium around what do you trust? We do agree that trusted repositories are the way to go, but I do hear what my colleague is saying because of the issues that are faced in the Global South, because we also need to look at our own circumstances and the issues around, especially with policymakers. Why do you need to emulate, or why do you just take without actually looking at what fits best for you, looking at social justice? You pay, you subscribe, going down the line, do you still subscribe the same fee, or is it? Secondly, the issues around consortia are quite important. You can't go alone, and we work for access. For example, in the Global South, in Southern Africa, we have a consortium of university libraries with science councils. And when we deal also with issues around data repositories, it's part of that consortia that we also subscribe to ensure that the platform that we use is not just one institution, but a number of institutions dealing with it, and the training that goes with it, because also we deal with similar academics and researchers across who transverse. So I do indicate that mutual cooperation is quite important, and also linking with the interoperability of the tools that we use. But also we need to look at the value add and the value proposition around access, funding, and how do we sustain. Yeah.
Right. Well, what can I say? Yeah, I agree that the community, a regional community of practice is the right way to go. It's perfect opportunity to share experiences, help each other. Remember that once certified, the applications are made public. So it's quite easy to find another repository which is similar to yours and see what kind of answers or what kind of evidences it has provided. And I mean, use it as an example, right? Now, about the administrative fee, yeah, I realize that this is a significant amount of money, but I mean, you've got to pay for multiple services. You mentioned Figshare as a repository, but you've got to pay to use Figshare as well. So, yeah.
Okay, these 3 points I think is very important. But the priority one may be the last one. So I take it as the first place, the benefits from the certification. Yeah, their payment should be valued, added, I mean. So, so this is, we need more best practice, need more examples, learn each other. This is the first one. The second one may be the pilot alliance. I mean, this alliance maybe not only include the CTS past repositories, include more, more disciplinary, more, I mean, national data centers and regional data centers, So this alliance, I think, should be inclusive, not only the CTS repositories. Maybe we some disciplinary, some priority field can go ahead firstly. For example, if we think about the disaster, so maybe disaster risk reduction may be the priority area for this alliance, because the coastal area, we have the tsunami, we have the typhoon, the rainfall, rainfall flooding, every year. So these disasters without boundary, country boundary, so these repositories must work together to support the regional, risk, and even some social science, also cross-border, So pilot alliance. The last one is mutual recognition. Maybe some model can be found global level, regional level, can be scaled up, and maybe they should, used only in this region area. It may be different. This coupled with the SDG, the UN Sustainable Development Goals together, a different model. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. How about time? Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you for all the presentations. And I'm afraid today is our time is limited, and maybe we need to say close to this session. And thank you all for your attending. Thank you for the presentators, and thank you for the volunteers and tech guys for helping us out. And we would like to take a group photo. Okay.